Okay, it's time to take down Chapter 2, Vigrid, City of Déjà Vu. I have to say, I really do like the chapter titles, they're always quite awesome. Now, pretty much the way the chapters work is that they are all continuous, even if it does kind of split it into different segments. And, I think this shot is awesome. Kamiya-san did too, which is why he used it in one of the very early trailers, actually. Music is Jean. Bike action. So if you didn't know yet, I mean, you probably wouldn't do if you've never seen Bayonetta before. Yes, this is Jean, who is a very important character. And she is voiced by Grey Delisle, who a lot of people will recognise from various
same powers.
shows, animes, and so on and so forth.
Your little dip in that lake has left
Music here is Conversation with Jean.
I've been high and dry for 20 years now. The only rust on me is from the lack of any real challenge. Perhaps you're up for the task. You've already disappointed me.
So yes, some of Grey Delisle's major roles that you probably recognise her from are Kimiko Tohumiko in Shaolin Showdown, Sam Mason in Danny Phantom, Mandy in The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. She's also the current voice of Daphne in Scooby-Doo, and she voiced Vicky in Fairly Odd Parents. So those are quite a few roles that Grey Delisle has played.
This is a moment I've long desired. But you've forgotten your destiny.
Now, Grey Delisle is actually American, but Kamiya-san did request that she speak in a British accent.
I do seem to be having trouble remembering things of late.
He was slightly annoyed at her because she was rather late when she turned up for the recording session, but
Two overseers, the eyes of the
she does an excellent job, so I think he forgave her. Now, on Jean's bike, it has the license plate U1QTJ. The U1 is Umbra number 1, which shows her Umbran pride, and QTJ is actually a reference to an outfit for Jean. But it's something that Kamiya-san wanted to do. Now, the Umbran matriarch here was only very, very recently named as Jenny O'Hara, who kind of isn't a major actress. But she also does a really good job, and the only reason that we know who voiced her was because I asked Kamiya-san the other day. By the other day, I mean kind of like the other day when I'm recording this, not when it comes out. Awesome music here is Battle for the Umbra Throne. Music you heard before that was Memories of the Training Grounds. Now, the whole flashback fight sequence that you also saw in the last chapter allows for battles that are totally unrelated to the current location and situation. It allows you to keep up the awesomeness. Also, Witch Walk is amazing. It's just great being able to walk on walls. It is limited to when the moon's out, But other than that, you're pretty free. I mean, especially in this battle. Initially you were able to use Witch Walk everywhere, but that would have required so much work and time and fine-tuning that it was just impossible, so they restricted it. Just to particular sections. Now, yes, if you attack that pillar there, you get a broken witch heart. Which is awesome that they're hiding the secrets so early on in chapters now. Also, we finally have the intro screen for these enemies. The deer and decorations. Now, initially, well, Kimiya-san wanted to name the angels in order for them to appear in alphabetical order, and for the most part, at least kind of the beginning, this is the case, because we've had Affinity, Applaud, Beloved, Deer and Decorations. Unfortunately, that plan does fail partway through, but can't be helped. Basically, they were very late coming up with official names for the angels, so kind of until the enemy move sets were down and tuning was done, there was no way to predict when they would turn up, so they couldn't really give them names. So the Deer and Decorations were just the Egg Angels, and when they were finally given their name, no one was familiar with the name, so they just called them Egg Angels or Eggies, which is just great. We also had Advent of the Angels Sea, as they appeared. And, yeah. Now, this is a cheeky little room, but we'll go on to that in a second. Got Antonio's notes to get through first. Within Old Vigrid, many ancient stone structures have been preserved, being developed further as they are repaired, leading to the town lending the town a peculiar sense of the historic. Modern architecture has also taken hold in Vigrid, starting with the central station. However, it is also to give the form to the sacred institutions of the ancient sages. The architecture gives us a glimpse into people's deep sense of respect for their past. This town of old and new still keeps within its bounds several strange things that the modern man struggles to make heads or tails of. For instance, dark green barriers made of an as-of-yet unknown metal seem to block certain alleyways. Their shape comprised of many complex bricks and impedes one from proceeding down the ancient paths of the city, as though they were a rejected visitor, even though it seems these paths saw everyday use in their distant past. I may claim this material is as yet unknown, but in reality I haven't a clue regarding its composition. It is harder and heavier than anything a human being is capable of moving, or so I have surmised from examining its chilly surface. Pushing one's ear against the wall, the sounds of the other side reverberate and echo within, resounding throughout the inner workings of the wall as if a glockenspiel was playing scales. I've never seen a metal like this, but many of the walls within the city... This is going to happen frequently, as I've said before. It's just the irritating thing of book not working properly. I've never seen a metal like this, but many of the walls within the city are made from this material, and from the cliffs one can see an enormous monument constructed from the same mysterious matter. I wonder why these lost witches and sages scatter these walls around the city. Basically, it's just kind of how it works, really. Now, unfortunately, we can't actually get through this wall at the minute. Basically, we need temporal witch power. Now, if you run all the way back, which is what you're supposed to do, you'll see these craftily hidden sage and witch statues, and basically you need to run a distance to be able to get through. You kind of will run across a number of these throughout the game, so you need to use them. And now we are about to run into one of my favourite characters in the game. It's just hilarious. So let's walk on over all seductively and meet this new character. Forming a little bit of Assassin's Creed there, are we?
Do you believe in fate? Fate brought us here together, and it will never tear us apart.
Oh dear. What are we gonna do with him? So this right here is Luca. Music there was Luca Enters, and it's awesome.
Sayonara.
Now, if you hadn't guessed yet, Luca is voiced by good old Yuri Lowenthal, who is one of the most frequent voice actors ever.
In the language of flowers, rosemary equates to remembrance.
You've heard him before, don't worry. Sasuke, the Prince in Prince of Persia, Luke in Tales of the Abyss, and so on and so forth. Oh, Luca, 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 you're hopeless. Two musical pieces here are Conversation with Luca A and Conversation with Luca B.
You certainly blew, haven't you, my little Cheshire puss?
I'm not your pet. The name is Luca. A name you'd better remember. Ah! Shit! Damn it! Wait! You can't just run away from me like that! I know what I saw that day!
Oh dear. And here we have nice little flashback, which basically reveals what happened when Bayonetta awoke. Yep.
I know all about your kind.
Luca's dad
Sure, my
died.
colleagues laugh at me for chasing fairy tales, amongst other things. But I know they're real. I know the truth. The smell. It's the same smell that clung to the air the day my father was murdered. Which means I'm right on your doorstep, Bayonetta.
I'll let you in on a little secret, Cheshire.
The name is Luke.
Music here is Bayonetta prepares for battle B, which is just awesome.
You need to hone your sense of smell, my dear. There's There's no rosemary in the perfume. After all, rosemary is a demon repellent.
So yes, now, as Luca was saying, in the language of flowers, rosemary equates to remembrance. You should also note that parsley relates to festivity, sage relates to wisdom and immortality, and thyme relates to strength and courage. Do they all sound familiar? They should, because that's the name. Those are the names of Scarborough Fair guns. So yeah, it's a nice little kind of play on the fact that Bayonetta has got these guns, and it's just quite awesome. Now, one thing that kind of you should note is that kind of just keep hold of rosemary, because it will be incredibly important later on. But it is something that was associated with wedding ceremonies in the Middle Ages, and it was also a divinatory. Also, apparently, the use of rosemary in the garden was used to try and repel witches. Which is clearly why it's used here. It was also kind of used to show that the woman ruled the household, as you do. Now, so I really do kind of like the Scarborough Fair guns. They're just awesome. And they are actually based on a real-world pistol called the Derringer Pocket Pistol. But Scarborough Fair are much, much larger than that pistol. Like a ridiculous amount. Also, you might not have seen it in the chapter, in that verse, but you can actually see Luca hiding behind the pillar, which is a really nice little touch that you can see that. But annoyingly is that when you're in the middle of fighting, you don't generally tend to notice these things.
You've been naughty.
Also,
Touch me.
if you have a look around this area, you should notice some phone booths. And basically, these phone booths are how you will activate some cheats. Basically, to get you some ultra-powerful weapons, accessories, and even you can use it. Well, you can also use it to unlock optional characters, which is awesome. Notes on the topic of Magic 1. The word witch usually conjures up images in our head of an old woman using strange magic, but peruse the history of Vigrid and you find a vastly different picture of incredibly brave women who once inhabited the area. They were known as the Umbra Witches. While these witches are said to have manipulated magic, there remains very little recorded history to back these claims. Yet they shared many powers with their opposing counterparts, the Lumen Sages, and from their records we can gather a better view of what magic entailed. As the overseers of history, they possess the ability to literally see everything in an instant, also known as temporal control. This technique sharpened all of the 5 senses and pushed one's emotional energy to its very limits. It is a world where a falling drop of water can become a crown and a hummingbird slowly and elegantly flaps its wings. Temporal control is not just simply being able to recognise this world, it is also enables one to boost their physical abilities and move freely within that single moment. Temporal control requires a sound body and mind and a complete grasp of spirit energy. While quite similar, the witches and sages each practice this art differently, leading to different names for their respective techniques. Witch time and light speed. Witch time. It seems that the witches on this earth fell victim to our world's passage of time and have vanished into the abyss of eternity.